Hello and welcome to Visionary Sim Pilot. Today I'm going to demonstrate my trying to be quiet flight because everybody's already gone to bed, but I want to be somewhat realistic, but I also don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to skip some realistic kind of aspects, and I'm not going to run all my add-ons at the same time kind of flight, if that makes any kind of sense. But this is the way I probably most commonly fly in Flight Simulator. I get much more detailed when I plan something out in more, and I plan out a flight when I'm exactly going to do it during my week or something like that. This is more of a, I want to get a flight in, or get my plane up in the air before I go to bed at night, and everybody else has already gone to bed, so I want to be quiet, so where I wouldn't really be talking or anything like that. But this one I'm doing during the day so that I can do this video for all of you so that you can kind of see. So I'm sitting here on the ground in my favorite little ATR-72 600 in the Platinum Airways livery. So we can see the tower. We're in Barstow, California, or Daggett Airport, which is kind of here in the desert. And we're going to do a quick little hop over to Long Beach along the coast. So it's about in a straight line, it's about 90 nautical miles. And we are going to be flying the KO8 arrival into Long Beach, and we're going to be entering at the Hector transition point, and so it's actually east. So we're going to be flying west most of the time, but the Hector waypoint is actually east of Barstow, so we might have to take off, turn around, fly east for a little bit, hit that point, and then flip back around. And then head on in. So there's mountains between here and there, so we're going to be at 12,000 feet at cruise altitude before descending into the Los Angeles basin and landing most likely on runway 30 at Long Beach. All right, so I'm also doing this so that you can see all the different things that I'm going to use. So remember, I'm legally blind, and so I do a lot of different things. So I'm using this 2D panel instead of the 3D panel that is also available, but I'm going to be using the 2D panel like this one. And I'm also going to be using other add-ons today. So I've got Active Sky going on for real-time weather. We're going to be using FS Captain to kind of track our flight and follow it. Give us a little bit of first officer activity there and a few other things. And I'm also going to be using PF3 ATC at its best for air traffic control. And I'm going to be using the virtual co-pilot in there so that he can be running all of the air traffic control for me, and all I have to do is listen and follow the instructions so I can focus on flying the plane, just like in the real world. So that the virtual pilot handles the radio and the pilot's handling the aircraft itself. So first off, I'm going to get FS Captain going here, and so I'm hoping that this comes up in the video. So the one thing I like about FS Captain is their little tool, their little gauge here tool that I'm going to turn on right now. It's 2D, but it's also very expandable. You can make it wider, you can make it taller. So I've already made it like maybe 8 times bigger than it really is, so that it makes it to where I don't have to have my glasses on to read all of the text on the monitor, which is great. So I really like that aspect. It's one of the reasons why I like this. So, and now we're going to, so there's my little first officer saying good morning because it's morning time right now. So we're going to open up the doors.
We're ready to get started.
We're going to turn on some ground power and the battery and the avionics. So, and I set this up to where it's going to board some passengers and load some cargo. And then while it's doing that, I'm going to switch to that little mode there, and I'm going to bring up our radio stack. And there isn't ATIS here in Barstow, but I am going to get the report through Active Sky for the weather here and everywhere in between Long Beach and at Long Beach at our estimated arrival time. So we're just going to dial in COM 1 to 122.05 and switch that over.
Abbreviated briefing from your current position to Kilo Delta Alpha Golf to Kilo Lima Golf Bravo. No SIGMETs active for your route of flight. No AirMETs active for your route of flight. Current weather conditions: Kilo Delta Alpha Golf. Wind 269er at 20. Gusting to 29er. Visibility 10. Sky clear. Temperature 28. Dew point 3. Altimeter 29er 87 for the destination at your estimated arrival time. Wind 179er at 5. Visibility 10. Sky condition: ceiling 1700. Broken. Temperature 18. Dew point 12. Altimeter 2996. Winds aloft for the en route area at 2000 feet. Wind 275 at 7 at 9000.
Alright, and I don't typically look at the winds aloft so much for the route oftentimes because I will kind of see them along the way if I think it's going to be an issue. It has been fairly windy here in California the last couple of weeks. It's why we got a lot of gusty winds here in the desert. This isn't where I live, but there's a lot of gusty winds down here in the Barstow area, a lot of flat ground after it comes over the mountains, and a lot of rising heat.
The cabin is secure. All passengers are aboard.
And there's our little flight attendant telling me I can close the door, so I'm closing the door there so that we can get FS Captain moved ready to when we are going to push back from the gate. And so we're just going to click over there a little bit and get that ready there. And then one other thing, there's not actually a
aircraft is clear to go.
A tower or a tower frequency here at Daggett Airport, but the cool thing with PF3 is that you can create new frequencies and put towers in where there isn't one, so that if you really want to have a tower there, you can have one. So I created one in PF3 a while back, and it's at frequency 134.22. I don't know why I picked it. I just randomly picked just any old frequency. So now we're going to request our clearance from the tower here.
Tower. Pacific Express 1771 at parking number 12. Request clearance IFR 2 Kilo Lima Golf Bravo.
Pacific Express 1771 cleared 2 Kilo Lima Golf Bravo. Climb and maintain 5000. Expect 2000 10 minutes after departure. Squawk 2175 departure frequency 128.3.
Cleared to Kilo Lima Golf Bravo. Climb and maintain 5000 2000 in 10. Squawk 2175 departure. On 128.3 Pacific Express 1771.
Pacific Express 1771 read back correct. Altimeter is 1012. Report when ready to taxi.
Roger. Altimeter is 1012. Report when ready to taxi. Pacific Express 1771.
Alright, so once again, this is the way I do it when it's nighttime and I'm trying to be quiet. So that's why I have the virtual co-pilot, which is right now currently is in mode 1, if you're familiar with PF3. I will cover all of these add-ons in other videos that you can see on my channel so that you can better understand what each one can do, but I kind of will touch little bases on it as we're going through this flight. But since I'm trying to be quiet because everybody's sleeping, or should be sleeping if this was at nighttime, I have the co-pilot do all the talking for me. But there's other times when I use multi-crew experience and I use a push-to-talk button and I do the talking when I want to do the talking, and then have PF3 respond back to me. All right. So now let's get a little clearance to taxi so that we know which direction we're going. Most likely we're going to be taking off at 26
Tower.
here.
Pacific Express 1771 ready to taxi.
Pacific Express 1771, stand by. Pacific Express 1771, taxi to runway and hold runway 26 using taxiway.
Runway 26, Pacific Express 1771.
All right, so it gave us runway 26 like I expected. At bigger airports, it will actually give you the route you're going to take if you want it to. But it also, PF3 also comes with this really cool taxi guidance tool, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it in this video. I don't have it installed directly into the panel, but I have it off to the side so that when I minimize the screen for P3D, the simulator, I have the guidance system off to the side so that I can see it, but most of the time I kind of have a good idea where I'm going. So right now it shows that once I back up out of the gate, I'm going to be going to the left. So, and I kind of know the route that I'm going to take. This airport layout is pretty simple. So I'll show you here. So I'm parked right there in the center of the screen, and you can see that taxiway. So we're going to go to the left there. We're going to take the little taxiway across that runway right behind us, and then follow that diagonal to the left all the way down to runway 26. So that way I can see all of that as to which direction we're going to go. So then I forgot about GASX. So let's get ground services going and request a little pushback from the gate. I don't really particularly care what airline we use there for that. And so they'll communicate with you too and kind of walk you through the whole pushback system. And we already have...
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
The other cool thing is FS Captain recognizes that GSX is active, and so it will actually, if you want to load through GSX your plane and or unload, it will communicate, meaning FS Captain will communicate with GSX, and they'll work together hand in hand to kind of simulate your experience more realistically, which is another cool feature in FS Captain. And we're gonna get a little question here as to which direction we want to taxi back in, and we're gonna tell GSX we want to taxi back to the left by pushing number 2 or clicking on that.
Release parking brakes.
We're gonna release the parking brake.
All engines clear. Start at will.
And then we're gonna start up. So my quick way is I'm just gonna turn on all the lights, turn off the panel lights, turn off the landing lights. I'll hit the start all engines button. And the other thing I do is I turn on pitot heat, and I also switch the nav GPS button to GPS so that I can track following the GPS with the autopilot once I'm up in the air. Also, while it's pushing me back, so oftentimes I'll switch to this view so I can kind of see as I'm getting closer. I'm going to set the flaps for takeoff. I'm going to set the vertical stabilizer for takeoff so that all that is already all done. So that is good.
Set parking brakes.
I'm going to put the parking brake back on like he suggested. So I have a yoke and a throttle quadrant and lots of different buttons on those, and so a lot of these popular things like the brakes and the lights and auto start and all that sort of things, I have all of it created into buttons, including like looking around, so I can look out to the right, I can look out to the left, I can look behind me, I can go at angles and diagonals that way. The trim I have set up that way too, as well as lots of other different things on the buttons. So my landing lights, however, on this particular aircraft, my landing light buttons only turn my landing lights off. They don't turn them on. So I have to do that manually on the panel. So when we get over to the runway, I'll show you how to do that. And so since that's almost done, I accidentally bumped the brakes there with my foot, because I also have pedals. So I'll take my controls through their full range of motion there. We will check FS Captain, and it's waiting to make sure that GSX is out of the way. And now that's good, and then we're going to welcome the passengers we do have by switching over here and communicating with them while we taxi.
This is your first officer speaking. Welcome to the cockpit. We'd like to welcome everyone on board for our flight. Not anticipating any problems and expect to be arriving on time, but if something comes up, we'll let you know about it. For now, please carefully follow all instructions from your cabin crew, and let's all look forward to a smooth ride. We should be ready for takeoff soon.
Next
And
left on taxiway.
perfect timing. And so that is the taxi guidance system from PF3 telling me to take my next left-hand turn. And so sometimes this plane's a little tricky to get moving, but once you get it moving, it goes pretty good. So we're going to take this little left-hand turn onto this taxiway here.
Rear left.
Gonna go down here and cross this runway.
Straight on.
So it's telling me going straight on, so I'm going straight to cross. Now, my first officer will also tell me if I'm taxiing a little bit too fast sometimes, so I gotta try to keep it under 20, because that's kind of the standard rule. So we crossed over that runway. Now my first officer telling me to bear left onto the next taxiway. This is the diagonal that's going to run alongside runway 26. Now MCE will taxi for you, that's multi-crew experience, will taxi for you using slew mode, and it will take you right to the runway if you are totally blind. Or you can use the menus at the top for just moving your plane automatically from the gate right to the runway. Sometimes you have to be careful with that because you have to, not have it reset your whole flight. You just have to have it just move the aircraft. And then it will put you, right on the runway. And I haven't tried to do it to where if I could put it right at the holding point for the runway. So, and since there's only tower control here with PF3, when I do get close to the end of the runway, if I was talking to ground, it would tell me to switch over to tower when I do get close to the beginning of the runway. But since there's only a tower controller here, it's not going to say anything like that. So it's just going to tell me that I am at the runway, which will be the taxi guidance system that will tell me that I'm there. So just going to follow this as it keeps telling me to go straight. And if you can't see it on the side, I got a little dot up in front showing me that I just need to keep going straight. And little sidebars telling me that I still have a little ways to go. So I'm cruising along. We got some nice mountains off to our right. It's a nice clear day here in Barstow. Very nice weather for flying as I work my way all the way down here. So an FS Captain monitors all this. If you taxi too fast, well, then your passengers aren't going to give you a good rating at the end. If you taxi all jerky and jerk all over the place and creating a lot of G-forces even while you're taxiing, well, you're not going to get a very good score in the end. So really kind of fun to make it to where you have to be like a real airline pilot and be precise.
Steady.
And so whenever he's saying steady, or her if you happen to use a female voice, because there is 119 voices in PF3, that means you are close to where you're going. So now we're going to go to the right here to the holding point for runway 26, and we're going to pause right there, put the parking brake on. We're going to close our taxi guidance window over there, and I'm going to take my screen back up to full screen mode so that everything is a little bit bigger so that I can see everything a little bit more easily. I'm going to switch. So up to this point, I've been telling the co-pilot because I've been in virtual co-pilot mode 1. And if I hit Control Shift and the letter V, I just shifted to mode 2. So now I just told my virtual co-pilot radios are his. So he's going to do all the radio communication from now on, all automatically. I'm just going to get him started when I'm ready. So the only things I need to do is I'm going to bring up my FS Captain because I need to alert the crew that I'm going to take off as soon as they give us clearance, which is going to be right away because there's no one around here.
Tower. Pacific Express 1771, runway 26, ready for departure.
Pacific Express 1771, winds 290 at 25, runway 26, cleared for takeoff, fly heading 225.
Roger, cleared for takeoff. Flight heading 225, Pacific Express 1771.
Alright, so going to be pretty windy as we take off. I need to
Ready to go.
turn on the landing lights, turn off the taxi lights,
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has advised that we are now cleared for takeoff.
and that's FS Captain because I hit the alert crew button. Unfortunately, FS Captain, their little gauge tool that you use to communicate does not work off of keyboard commands, at least not that I figured out yet. So everything's mouse driven, so if you don't have any vision, it's a little hard to use, so it's a little bit more difficult. Alright, so here we go. We're gonna get on up to speed here. Our V1 speed's gonna be about 120, but I don't have anything set to like talk through that. Normally I have multi-crew experience, but I'm not using multi-crew experience today because it would be nighttime and I don't want to make any noise, and I'm trying to stay on the center line because it is a little breezy. So we're already up to almost 120, and I'm going to start pulling back because we got quite a bit of wind, and we are going to lift up, and I'm going to hit the gear to bring the gear up. We're already up over 140 knots, so I'm also going to take the flaps up, and we're going to continue our nice slow climb here, which all of a sudden got not quite as slow. And when they said to fly heading 225, correct?
Pacific Express 1771, contact departure on 128.3.
Roger, 128.3, Pacific Express 1771.
So my co-pilot didn't like how fast I climbed off the runway there, so that's why he made that
Departure.
little comment.
Pacific Express 1771 with you out of 4,000 or 5,000.
Roger, Pacific Express 1771, radar contact altimeter is 1012.
Pacific Express 1771.
Pacific Express 1771, climb to 10,000.
Alright, so it wants us to continue our climb.
Out of
We're turning a little bit to 250.
Pacific Express 1771.
We got the climb going on. We got turning going on. To the left, we're just about at 250 now.
Southwest 446, turn left heading 145.
PF3 is going to talk to all of the other traffic, which there might be quite a bit because we are in Southern California.
United 761, turn left heading 315.
Roger, left 315, United 761.
And so I really like these 6 gauges because I can look at everything. I can look over here to my left and see my airspeed. I can look over to the right, see my vertical speed. I can see my altimeter. I can see the direction that I'm flying, so that I get a really good idea of where I'm supposed to be going. And of course, I am not getting communication from PF3 now to tell me which way I'm going.
Southwest 979, turn right heading 205.
If I get over
Right
there a little bit
heading
more.
205, Southwest 979.
Pacific Express 1771, turn left heading 120.
Alright, so now we're going to go left to 120.
Left to 120 Pacific Express 1771.
Pacific Express 1771, contact Los Angeles Center on 132.5.
Roger. 132.5 Pacific Express 1771.
We're going to be wanting to be turning enough to where we can get over to Hecht, which is still kind of behind us, which is why we got to get this
Los
big
Angeles Center Pacific Express
turnaround.
1771 with you out of 9,500 or 10,000.
Pacific Express 1771, altimeter is 1013.
Pacific Express 1771.
Multiple electronic devices may now be used, with the exception of TVs, radios, two-way transmitters, or any other device.
All right. So you get all this conversation going on.
Roger, Southwest 284, altimeter is 1013.
1013, West 284.
Los Angeles Center, Southwest 446, out of 9,000.
Southwest 446, Roger, altimeter is 1013.
1013, Southwest 446.
Los Angeles Center, United 895, level light level 340.
I was kind of using the autopilot to help balance this out a little bit because it hasn't cleared me above 10,000, and I was doing a lot of stuff trying to talk and let all of you know what's going on too.
Pacific Express 1771, turn left heading 105.
So now we're gonna go to 105.
Left to 105 Pacific Express 1771.
Los Angeles Center, United 030, level at 14,000.
United 030, Roger, continue present heading, altimeter is 1013.
1013, United 030.
Los Angeles Center, Southwest 304, level at 1,000.
Southwest 304, Roger, altimeter is 1013.
1013, Southwest 304.
Now back the speed down a little bit so that, because it's busy with.
Pacific Express 1771, resume navigation direct to Bravo, Uniform, Lima, Golf, Yankee.
Oh yeah, so it's gonna have me skip.
Roger. Resume on navigation. Direct to Bravo, Uniform, Lima, Golf, Yankee, Pacific Express.
But I'm gonna go through
1771.
Hecht really fast. Let's also see if they clear me up to 12.
Descend and maintain flight level 270.
Yep, they're gonna leave me at 10,000, which is fine for now because I don't have any mountains around.
237 is you, out of flight level 330.
Roger, American 237, continue present.
So to make it a little simple, I've got autopilot on now.
237.
I can monitor my airspeed. I can set my mixtures the way I want them. If I was using multi-crew experience, I'd be going through checklists through all of this too, which makes it very, very busy, just like you are when you're a regular pilot trying to keep track of everything. So, but I've got, if we kind of look around, I've got the flaps retracted, I've got the gear up, I got my landing lights off because I'm up over 10,000 feet now. You can see here in the middle on the GPS that I am heading primarily towards Hecht, and I'm going to pick up on that when I get there, and then I'll loop back around. So since we're following that KO8 approach,
Descend to flight level 300.
Descend to flight level 300, American 237.
since they're not really climbing, we're actually going to tell FS Captain that we're at top of climb, even though we're actually not quite there yet. But there's all these things where you need to. It's just like if you were doing company communication through your airlines, you would need to be reporting in every now and then. Now, a lot of this is done through automation now, and the computer in the aircraft sends information to the company all the time, but we used to have to do it more manually. And so FS Captain, we still do it manually, so I'm going to hit the top of climb button. I do have passengers on board, so I'm going to start service with them because I should have enough time. There's only like 5 people on board and a lot of cargo, so...
Descend to maintain flight level 270, American 237.
Captain, we're starting our
Los
cabin
Angeles
service now.
Center, Golf 052 with you, flight level
So that way, that's all set.
Golf 052.
We can see from multi-crew as to about how long it's going to take to get to where we're going. We can see how fast we're going across the ground. It will also tell you if there's light turbulence, like there is. So we're doing like right now like 269 knots. And we have about 128 miles left to go, nautical miles. The fuel we have on board should get us 468 nautical miles, so we can see everything where we're going on. If the other thing that FS Captain will do is it will also sometimes put in failures in the aircraft. And when that happens, there'll be a red warning up at the top of this little gauge, giving you a code as to what kind of failure might be going on, and then you might have to react to that depending upon how severe that failure is. And you can do all sorts of things in the settings to make those happen super frequently, or not at all, or real randomly. It just kind of depends. So oftentimes I just get a lot of, I'll pop a tire every now and then, or have a bird strike or something like that. So, but just adds to the reality of the experience. Sometimes it can be kind of fun. Sometimes there's been times I've jumped in the aircraft to do one of these quick little short flights, and end up hitting a bird on takeoff and losing an engine, and I end up having to spin back around and trying to land with only one engine, and gets the adrenaline going a little bit, trying to do everything the right way. So, and makes it a lot of fun.
Los Angeles Center, American
So now we're going to
222
turn
flight level 350.
west, heading towards our next waypoint. And I'm going to bring up the other GPS up here. So once again, reason why I like the 2D, even though this GPS does not work as well as other GPSs do in other aircraft. I've been thinking about changing this gauge out and putting another GPS gauge in here. But I can make it a little bigger. And then I want to see a little more territory. So right now it's only showing 10 nautical miles. I want it showing 20 so that I can see a little bit more around me. As we're going to loop around to where we're going to be basically flying right, I guess we're going to be going more south, because we're going to be flying about a heading of 215 roughly. And that way we will go, whoops, we will go along this way. Still waiting. I'm assuming when we get to the next waypoint that PF3 will climb us up to the next altitude of 12,000 so that we guarantee that we get over the top of those mountains, because we can see some mountains. Right now they're fairly far out in front of us, but we're going to get there pretty quick. We're cruising along. And this is kind of the point where I like to look at everything. Do I have everything set the way I needed to? I got the landing lights off. I've already kind of checked my fuel. I'm checking my airspeed to go as, basically as fast as I can. We got the weather report. I think it's probably going to change. It oftentimes does when we're on the ground. We got the weather report for Long Beach, and it said the wind was at 17 something at 5 miles an hour, so we still could land on runway 30. But we can do the ACAR system in PF3, and I'll do it once we get a little bit closer, so that it's a little bit more accurate, because it might change between now and then, and it will tell us what the weather conditions are and what the active runway is at that current point in time, so that we can kind of plan ahead. But right now I'm assuming we're going to be doing the ILS approach for runway 30, and so this would be when I'd be making sure. So I use a lot of Navigraph charts as well, but I fly into Long Beach quite frequently, so I'm pretty familiar. So, and the other...
Express 1771, climb and maintain 12,000.
And there's our little climb up to 12.
Out of 10,000 or 12,000 Pacific Express.
So we will just bump the autopilot up to 12 real quick. So now we are at 12,000. Our virtual co-pilot responded. And then the other cool thing, when you get clearance, when you're using PF3 and you get clearance to an ILS approach, and you have it set in this virtual co-pilot either 1, 2, or 3 mode, it will automatically dial in the frequency for the ILS, and it will change the course setting so that that's all done too, so that basically it's taking care of it for you. So then all you got to do is focus on flying the approach, which is sweet. So just like teamwork would be done in
descent to 9,000.
the real world. So
Down to 9,000, United 030.
because when I fly online,
Southwest 854 is with you.
I have a tendency to find that I get a little
Southwest 854, roger, continue.
extra workload, because when I'm flying online, I've got to do all the communication, I've got to do all the radio changes, I've got to fly the plane and all this other kind of stuff. So I end up using autopilot quite a bit, simply so that I don't have to be trying to manage everything all at the same time. All's looking good there. So FS Captain wants position reports every so often. I have it set to every 60 minutes. The default is 10 minutes, but you get points knocked off if you don't chime in frequently enough. And so I always try to chime in every now and then, so that I do that. So I set that position.
Descend and maintain flight level 300.
Descend and maintain flight level.
Every now and then it loses track of where you're at, and so sometimes you have to tell it where you are at in the flight plan. But right now, the flight plan we're following, we got about 100 more nautical miles to go. Doing 244 knots. Got enough fuel to go another 370 nautical miles.
Descend to flight level 320, American 222.
And then if we bring up the GPS one more time, we can see in the upper left-hand corner of the GPS, that little airport down there, Kilo Papa, Sierra Papa, that is Palm Springs. So that is just about 20 miles to our left. Hello, which way am I going? I'm turning that off. So I can turn that off and I can look out that way, and it's going to be right along this mountain range. Let's see, I'll try to use my mouse. It's going to be right along that mountain range there at the base of it. You can also go outside the plane so that we can look that direction too. basically almost right off our left wing now is Palm Springs and that whole area. I do have the True Earth Southern California from Orbix, that's Orbix, scenery loaded in here so that I have more detailed scenery here in Prepared 3D. So not quite as detailed as the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, but it is pretty darn close. So
Los Angeles Center, Southwest 407, out of flight level 220.
I will get more into that
407, Roger.
in other talks. I find it a little bit more difficult to
270.
see
Roger. Southwest 7.
the aircraft, or the panels and things like that in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and so that's why I have a tendency to use P3D when I'm doing flights when I really need to see the panel. When I'm doing fun little flights in a little Cessna and it's all visual and I'm basically just kind of looking out the windows, that's when I will oftentimes use Flight Simulator 2020. As more add-ons come out to help me visually, I will introduce them to you as well and
Delta 794, descent to flight level 210.
and use them myself, and then I'll probably get into bigger aircraft and more aircraft in Flight Simulator 2020 as well. But my big key is keeping things relatively simple for myself, so that it's not too demanding on what I'm doing. So coming up to this little mountain range to go over the top of before we start going into the Los Angeles Basin. So because this approach, you'll see is I just brought up the GPS here in the middle of the screen. We're going to make a left-hand turn because we need to start heading farther south, because in front of us, once we get over these mountains, there's a whole line of airports. The farthest one to the south is Riverside, I believe. And then they run all the way, one next to the other, and, there's tons of different airport airspace that you end up having to go through. So this arrival, the KO8 arrival, skips all of that by having you go south to where we fly basically almost all the way down to Carlsbad, California, which is about maybe 30 miles or so north of San Diego. And so we go in between Riverside and Carlsbad, and then we head north and land right into runway 30 in Long Beach. So cruising along here, we're getting closer to Long Beach. So the route we're taking is another 80 nautical miles to Long Beach, but we're closer to it in a straight line because we've got to take a little south detour to get lined up for runway 30. So I'm going to hit the ACARS and let's see if we got some local weather. And that's hot button of number 2. And then we get this little screen that comes up, and we have wind is at 150 at 6. And the visibility is still greater than 20 miles. Sky conditions, we've got 1,900 feet scattered, so that's not so bad. No big deal. Temperature 19, dew point 12. And the altimeter there is 1014. And they're saying runway 12 is currently the runway in use. Not what I was planning for, but we'll see what happens by the time we get there. So this is the other cool thing. So I can actually request
1771, continue via the Hotel Alpha Yankee Oscar Golf 8 approach. Remain on this frequency. I'll have traffic for you.
Continue Hotel Alpha Yankee Oscar Golf 8 approach Pacific Express 1771.
Alright, so on another video I'll show you how to set that up to where PF3 knows exactly what approach I'm flying. So you do that in your flight plan and then tell PF3, but I will show you how to do that in another video. And that way,
Delta 794, descend and maintain 16,000.
you can, unlike, so the standard air traffic control that comes with PF3 will vector you all over the place and not follow a particular thing, and will take you right through the middle of the airspace of, say, Riverside and all these other airports. So there's a whole line of them here off to our right. Let me bring up this little GPS so that we can see it. So here at the top of the GPS, we've got all these airports all in a line. So some of these I know, some of them I don't. But Riverside, that KRIV down there at the bottom, that's the one farthest to the south. Ontario is in there. And if Ontario is in there, that means a little farther over from that is Van Nuys. So we've got to kind of go around all of their airspace and around Riverside, and then we can head back north so that we head up towards Long Beach. Southern California has airports all over the place. It seems like they're all like just 30 miles apart from each other. It's all super duper close. So that's why it's real important, and especially in the real world, to fly these arrivals the way that they're all put together. They're the little highways in the sky, so they make it nice and safe. That's why planes don't crash into each other, which is very important, especially if you're on one of them. So we're gonna cruise down here. We got a few more miles to go this way.
Southwest 175, descend and maintain flight level 190.
I'm not too against flying with we're landing with a 6 mile an hour tailwind, especially on a 10,000 foot runway, and in one of my favorite aircrafts to fly. As I go through a nice big cloud here, look from the outside, and oh yeah, through a nice little cloud there. This is where that active sky comes in. We can look around a little bit. There's a nice little road going up the mountains with traffic on it. So, and this is the fun part. While I'm at cruise, I can look around. So there off to the right of the aircraft, there's the whole Los Angeles basin where we're heading into. Gonna go over to the coast and then fly up kind of more of the coast to go land on runway 30.
Southwest 033, descend to 14,000.
I'm going to try ACARS once again and see if it's changed.
Southwest 175, descend to
Another thing I might do is I might bring up the GPS so it has all of the approaches. So if I check on what approaches it has, does it have an approach to 12 that I can easily kind of do? Does not. It has everything for 30. So for this one, because I want to get on the ground, I am gonna set it up right now for doing runway 30, and then if they tell me 12, I'm gonna request 30, because that's the other cool thing about PF3 is you can request other runways, and even if it wouldn't be a safe landing, like if the tailwind was bigger than 10 knots, it's not really a safe thing to do. It will still let you do it. So if you request it.
American 050, roger, continue present heading, altimeter is 1014.
And so it's still going to be commuting with all these aircraft that are out here flying all around us. There will probably be a Southwest flight landing somewhere around us when we land into Long Beach. There almost always is when I do that. Sometimes a JetBlue one as well, because they fly in and out of Long Beach regularly too. So that's the other thing I have. I forget what it's called now. Is it Global Flight? It's from Just Flight. I've found over the years that their add-on AI traffic is really great. and
Down to 8,000 southwest.
you know, very realistic.
407.
This one I think you can actually pick like, you know, real world time stuff, or you can just have it
9,000.
put in standard schedules.
Descend and maintain 9,000 southwest.
It is
03.
very user friendly, and so I just have it do basically just the standard, and then I can change how much aircraft I really want going in the simulator. So when I'm flying into busy areas like this, I kind of turn it down a little bit so that it's not too much of a load on the system. And when I'm going into some place that's not so busy, well, I'm going to jack it up a little bit more and make it a little bit more challenging. So now we're going to make that turn. We've gotten down south of Riverside, and we're now going to turn west
Pacific
and north.
Express 1771, descend and maintain 11,000 at pilot's discretion.
Out of 12,000 or 11,000 at pilot's discretion. Pacific Express 1771.
And so one of the other cool things about PF3
Center, southwest
is you can set it up to pause you
Southwest
at particular
471,
distances from the airport or at the top of your descent. So I always have it set at top of descent. And that way, if I put everything on autopilot and I go away and I've got the virtual co-pilot flying everything, it will pause at top of the descent. I can even go to bed at nighttime and wake up the next morning and land.
1771, traffic at 2 o'clock, 2 miles, 13,000, heading west to 940.
Pacific Express 1771 has the traffic.
Alright, so it gives me a little bit of traffic warning as well as I'm cruising along, dropping down to 11,000 like it requested. And since I created the flight plan through Navigraph charts, it puts all of the actual altitudes in that are on the chart right into each waypoint.
Southwest 6,
and then PF3
with you out
will
of
basically
1,
guide me
1,000.
through all of those. So I don't even really have to have the charts
Roger,
open if I don't want
Southwest
to.
680, altimeter is 1014.
So very cool for that, where I found that
680.
some of the other ones don't always put the exact altitudes in each waypoint correctly.
Roger, Southwest 092,
So,
altimeter is 1014.
but I will talk about flight planning in other videos too. It's a great way to make it more like you're flying the real world flights. That way when I'm flying in a real plane, going someplace, I kind of already have an idea of, you know, what departures we're going to fly and what arrivals we're going to fly. And it makes it kind of fun when I'm a passenger in an airliner. Because I kind of know when the aircraft's turning to the right, I kind of know, oh yeah, we've just passed over, you know, a certain waypoint. Alright, so now we're heading pretty much west at right at 260.
Descend and maintain 10,000.
Heading up towards Long Beach.
Turn to 10,000 southwest 092.
We got this little smaller set of mountains here in front of us to get over the top of before we descend down a little bit more so that we can land. And like I said, we'll land on runway 30. Now the only thing will be, because I'm switching runways, I believe I have forgotten how to get PF3. When I switch runways, it will tell me that I can land on that runway, but it doesn't tell the co-pilot to switch all the frequencies in my aircraft. So that might be something that I'll have to figure out really quickly. But I will show you how to do that too. It's not super hard. All you really got to do is just bring up the map in P3D and look at things that way. So
Pacific Express 1771, descend to 9,000.
Alright, so now it wants me coming down to 9,000.
Out of 1,000 or 9,000 Pacific Express 1771.
And since now we're dropping a little bit, After we do that,
Los Angeles Center, United 617 is with you. Level at 1.
gonna go vertical speed at minus 1500. I'm gonna check back in here with FS Captain until we are top of descent,
United 617.
so that they know when they start preparing the cabin. And
Southwest 09.
we need to get ready to turn the landing lights on as we pass 10,000 feet. We are at 10,200 right now. And so we will click the landing lights on as we pass over 10,000, and it doesn't dock me if I have the taxi lights on too, so I tend to turn them on right now too. It only really docks me if I don't have them on when I'm on the ground.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign in preparation for our descent.
And my virtual co-pilot.
1771. Contact approach on 125.75.
Switch over to approach.
Roger. 125.75 Pacific Express.
I will be
1771.
collecting all trash, including any newspapers or other items you would like to discard.
Approach Pacific Express. 1771 is with you. Level at 9,500.
Roger, Pacific Express 1771, altimeter is 1014. Pacific Express 1771, descend to 6,000.
Alright, so it wants me coming
Out
down
of
a little bit
9,000
more to
6,000
6,000.
Express. 1771.
And so there we go. We got autopilot set down at 6,000. Whoops, and we want vertical speed at minus 1,500. So once again, if this was a flight where I was talking to tell everything, and I didn't have to worry about being quiet, I could tell my co-pilot and through multi-crew experience to change all of those. And I have found that the co-pilot in FS Captain, the co-pilot in PF3, if it's the US General number 14, and the co-pilot in all three of them, their voices sound very familiar, all the same. And so if I set all of those to the same, it all sounds like the same co-pilot. So, or I can have them different, and then I kind of,
070 Southwest
can easier tell who's talking to what, but I have fun setting it that way. So, but that's the other cool thing, to change up different voices and having different things. Like we've had lots of different voices from all the different air traffic around us.
Pacific Express 1771 at Juliet Oscar Golf India Tango and maintain 2,500. Clear to final runway 12 at pilot's discretion. Contact tower on 119.4 when established.
Alright.
Out of 6,500 or 2,500 at Juliet Oscar Golf India Tango until established on final 4 runway 12 tower on 119.4 when established. Pacific Express 1771.
That was a mouthful. So now I'm gonna try to request by hitting Control Shift W. I'm gonna try to do, I don't want 12, so I hit no. I don't want 16 left, so I hit no. I don't want 16 right, so I hit no. I don't want 25 left, so I hit no. I don't want 25 right. I want 30.
Pacific
so
Express
I hit yes.
1771. Request runway 30.
Wheel check.
Alright, and then while it's doing that, I'm going to change my autopilot and descend down to 2,500.
Pacific Express 1771, runway change approved. Continue approach, runway 30.
Roger. Continue approach, runway 30. Pacific Express 1771.
So now we got that approved. So I can turn that on in my GPS and make that active. And then my autopilot, since it's set to follow the GPS, will turn that direction to go towards runway 30. And now let's take a quick look.
17, turn left, heading 120.
So it has not changed
120, United 617.
things the way that they should be. So I'm gonna hit pause for a quick second.
049, turn right, heading 065.
And we're gonna bring up the map real fast.
065.
It's crazy down here as to how many airports there are. And so all we really want to do is come up here to the Long Beach Airport. To this screen, or this window. Ha! See? Which I always have a mouse with a window that I can see that this is what I want. Sometimes you can just get the little lines for the ILS, but you can also just click on the airport. And then with that, you can go, we want the Long Beach Airport, and hit yes. And then that will open up that. And then we can go down here. We can see runway. And so then we can close that. We can cancel that. And then this way, we can unpause. We can come up here and we can set our nav radio once again. I could do all this with MCE if I had the voice capability on, so that I could just tell the co-pilot to switch that, just like I just did. So that that's set.
185 Southwest 003.
And then I'm going to switch that to heading hold.
West 003, turn right, heading 16.
And I'm going to go back to nav instead of GPS.
Right 160 Southwest.
And then I'm going to change the heading down to 301 there, so that that's all good that way. I'm going to close that a little bit, and I'm going to sharpen up my turn to the left here. So there we go. So that that's all good that way. We're still following our descent path. That's all good. We're going to bring up the GPS so we can see where we're at here. Because, yep, we definitely wanted to head more that direction. I'm going to make that a little sharper, and we're going to go all the way to 180. So that you can see here on the GPS. There we go. That it's going to go all the way over that way. And we don't want to come in at this deep of an angle to it, but now we can make our turn back. Can usually handle about 30 degrees difference, so if we go a little bit more than that, we go turn, set the heading to 275, and then we watch for that little localizer to line up.
Right, heading 195, JetBlue.
We're below the glide slope, so that's all good there. I can talk about this kind of stuff in other videos as well, about how to like do all this instrument stuff. And so, the other nice thing about multi-crew experience is that virtual co-pilot will tell you when these become active, which is a nice thing, so then you don't have to be visually watching it, but I'm doing, so this flight is much more for those people with low vision than without vision at all.
Right, 170, JetBlue 232.
And so now it's become alive, so we can hit Control A, so that autopilot
Pacific Express 1771 at 11 miles.
will follow the ILS approach, so that we got that going.
Pacific Express 1771, continue approach, your number 1 for landing.
Continue approach number 1 for landing Pacific Express 1771.
And PF3 automatically contacts the tower at 10 miles out when you have it in Virtual Copilot Mode 2, which is delightful. And then we want to tell Flight Simulator Captain, this is how I'm busy. This is why I like so many different add-ons, because it keeps me busy. We want to say landing alert to the crew. So we tell the crew that we are landing.
No problem.
Check flaps.
Put some flaps out.
Ladies and gentlemen, in
Put the
preparation
landing
for
gear
landing,
down.
see that your seatbelts are fastened, tray tables and seat backs are in the upright and locked position,
Coming up on the
and
glide
all
slope
personal
right
items
now.
are securely stowed for landing.
So now I know
We will be
everything's
on
going the
ground
way that it should be going, so now I can focus on my 6 instruments here. The runway's straight ahead, I'm all online. I just want to keep my airspeed right around 110 to 120 knots, somewhere in that ballpark. We're a little above the glide slope, so autopilot's going a little steep to get over it. We got all these fun things to look at as we're flying over. We're going to be going over the San Diego highway, and really close to things like Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and things like that. We're very close to where we're flying over right now. We can always look around, because we're not that high yet. Or sorry, we're not that low yet. So we can come outside the plane and we can look around this way a little bit. I have to be a little bit careful to not go too fast through these views, because it does put a little strain on the system when I've got all these other aircraft and all these other add-ons going, even though my system's pretty powerful. Right, so we're at 1,500 feet, so we're getting pretty close. I'm going to get my feet back up on the rudder pedals so that I'm all ready to go there. Keep watching my airspeed. And then I'll be paying attention to ground proximity warning for how far the ground away is, because that should be coming up on about 1,000 feet right about now.
Pacific Express 1771, wind 150 and 9er. Altimeter is 1014. Clear to land, runway 30.
Clear to land 1030 Pacific Express 1771.
So there's 1,000 feet. The wind speed's picked up a little bit more, but still not so much that I can't deal with it. So I'm okay with that, because it's still a tailwind, but it's at 9. It's a little high, but I'm good. I've actually done higher in this particular aircraft, so I'm alright with it. And I've got an ILS. I'm pretty familiar with this airport. I can get this plane to stop on a dime. It actually has reversers on it too. I mean, it stops really short when I want to, so even if I go a little long, I am all good and have no concerns. Pretty sure I've stopped this thing in 1,000 feet before, and I've got a 10,000 foot runway ahead of me, right there lined up in the center.
500.
There's 500 feet, so then I like pull just a little bit of power off.
400. 300.
And 300 is when I turn the autopilot off. And a hand flap the rest of the way down. And I'm going to bring that up a little bit. Start my flare.
30, 20, 10.
And oop, I got up just a teeny little bit. And then we touch down. And I'm just going to use a little bit of brakes. I'm going to use the reversers.
At 6 miles for landing.
Southwest 0.
PF3 will tell us which way to turn towards the gate.
Continue present heading southwest 092.
Tower, JetBlue 232 at 3 miles for landing.
JetBlue 232, wind 150.
Yeah, you can see that JetBlue right,
015, clear to land, runway 12.
right in front of us.
Wind 150 at
Ladies
6.
and gentlemen, we have
Altimeter
arrived
is
at our destination.
1015. Clear to land. Runway
We'd like to thank
12.
you for flying
JetBlue
with us this
232.
time, and we hope you will join us again soon.
Pacific Express 1771, exit right, next available taxiway. Contact ground on 133.0 and clear for the
Okay,
active.
so it's gonna have us go to the right.
Exit runway right, ground control. On
I need to get up to this
133.0
taxiway
Pacific Express,
first.
1771, good day.
Alright, and I've had something go a little funny. So the engines shut down when I kind of slowed down, and I didn't have the fuel mixture leaned out, so I don't really know what happened there. But it only wants to turn to the right, and I don't want to go that much to the right.
Ground control. Pacific Express, 1771, clear of the active runway.
There we go.
Pacific Express 1771, hold your position.
So he's going to tell me to hold my position. You can actually turn that off now. They put in a new setting to where you can be rolling towards the gate and they'll tell you what gate they want you to park at. But I haven't turned that off. So I'm going to go off here, making that big right-hand turn. And up this way. Yeah, and he's telling me the flaps are still down, which I just retracted the flaps. And then I'm going to stop up here a little bit. And then I'll show you one other little feature in GSX as we get a little bit closer up here before I actually stop. So I will stop here, and then PF3 will tell us where we're going to go.
Pacific Express 1771, roger, taxi to gate Gulf 1 using taxiway Gulf, Charlie.
Golf, Charlie, gate Golf 1, Pacific Express, 1771.
So then in GSX you can scroll through and find your gate Golf 1. Click on that. Let's get a follow me car. Yes. Even though taxi guidance system will also guide us there too, but we can have a follow me car to follow there too. It's kind of fun. So that it will take us right into the gate. As long as it
Southwest 092, clear the active runway.
is a happy follow me car and is nice and doesn't go too fast. I have it set pretty well. You can adjust all the settings as to how fast it goes,
Taxi to
and
terminal, Southwest
how fast it goes when it gets to the
092.
gate, all that kind of good stuff. So, and it is on its way, but we are now at least safely on the ground. And we can see that there's other aircraft out here in front of us. So I have PF3 set up to just have me park at the closest gate to where I'm at the current point in time. You can set all of this up. I'm going to turn my landing lights off.
Southwest 003, clear of the active runway.
You can have it set to be specific gates at specific airports.
Taxi to terminal. Southwest 003.
Or have it not pick anything specific. Again, it can just tell you just taxi to terminal like it does to like some of the other aircraft. And then you just go park wherever you want. FS Captain will also assign gates if you want it to. But if I had both of them assign gates, the chance of them assigning the same gate would be like slim to none. So I don't do that. And I tend to find that I liked the PF3 picking the gate better than the FS Captain, and so I let it pick the gate. And FS Captain just lets me park wherever I want, and all right, I could park right here if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to. So then we're cruising along here. We're gonna cross over. this
right
runway.
on Charlie.
We're going to bear right on the next taxiway.
Bear right on taxiway.
Behind the follow me car.
Bear right on taxiway. Steady.
And it's telling us steady, which means the gate is close. It's probably going to be this first one here on the right.
Left
so we're going
to gate.
Watch the follow me car. Sure enough, he turns in on that first one to the left. So we're going to avoid this Southwest aircraft that's pointing right at us. And we're going to follow that follow me car. Right over to the gate. Where did he go? Now I lost him. Oh, see, and there's another Platinum Airways livery aircraft. That's because I'm also using Air Hauler 2. This is one of my bases in Air Hauler 2. And so with that, I buy planes, and because I bought planes, then I can actually use them, and it will put them in the simulator itself. Okay, trying to get this thing to turn the way I want it to turn. Planes are meant to fly in the air, not drive on the ground. Just gotta say that, because it's always a little tricky to get them to go where I want them to go once they're on the ground. So, just since I'm doing a video, the other nice feature is I can just say to GSX, just warp me right there. And then I'm there. And then I can set the parking brake, which concludes that. Shut my engine down. Open up the door. I can bring up FS Captain. It said I'm 2 minutes off of what I said that I was going to do it in. And then if I open up GSX one more time and say request to deboard the aircraft, FS Captain will actually tell it how many people I have on board, crew, passengers, and cargo.
The doors are open. Please make your way to the exit.
So that then when we go outside the aircraft, it will actually unload that particular number. So if this aircraft has 2 flight attendants, so when it gets to flight attendants, you'll actually see 2 flight attendants come off. If it's a bigger aircraft and it has 4, you'll see 4. So, and then the number of pilots, that's kind of the thing. But more visual, so if you're not into the visual thing, I hardly ever board actual passengers visually because it just takes too long. But I oftentimes will, while I'm doing other things or writing down things I learned from a particular flight, I might actually watch things being unloaded. So like my passengers or things like that. So, but really cool here because I've got one of our Platinum livery aircraft in the background. So one of my 737s that I own in Air Hauler 2. So that's really neat. So I will take a quick little picture of that so that I can submit it to the website so that maybe it will get used on the main page someday. All right. So that is how the little flight goes.
Runway 12.
In other videos, I will tell you the order that I start all this stuff. In the way of shutting things down, I always shut down PF3 first, which I am doing right now. So it will stop talking with all the other aircraft. And that's all done there. I will go into Air Hauler 2 and I will tell it that I've arrived, and it will gives me a little readout of how I did and what I did and all that kind of good stuff too. So and and lets me know. So I will talk about Air Hauler 2 in another video, but it's really fun, especially giving you lots of ideas. And now that I turned off Air Hauler 2, there's no more Platinum Airways aircraft there. It just vanished because that was part of the Air Hauler 2. It automatically puts it into the simulator. There's my little van for the passengers pulling up there on the screen, so that's all good and everything's all shut down for the most part. It will kind of turn off my lights, all that kind of good stuff. And then from here, if I want to go watch like my the replay of my landing, or watch the the rewind and get the landing video and stuff like that, I can do that as well. So, but that's kind of it for today. So hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel if you like it. Let me know your comments. You just saw like 5 people walk off my aircraft, get on the van. And especially if you have issues with vision in any way, look at other videos. I will put up as much as I can to help all of you make the flying experience the way you want to make your flying experience. See you next time in the next video.